Hello, nerds. We are on a bit of a time crunch today. This entire recording session is on borrowed time, so without any further ado, thank you for watching Generally Nerdy. This is the Weekend Nerdom, and this is the intro. And we're jumping right in, like I said. We got no time to lose with the Hobbs Shaw premiere last night. I didn't have as much time to do research, and therefore it cut into recording time, which is now cutting into editing time, so we're rushing. We're jumping through this, and first thing in music, we're talking about a new In Flames song. The name of the song is Voices, and it's from their album that came out in March called I, the Mask. And there's a reason why these guys have a whole subgenre of music that followed after them, because it's quality stuff. If you like metalcore, if you like that sound very specifically, if you're unfamiliar with metalcore and you just like heavy music, In Flames is definitely a band you should check out. Link in the description. This is a great song. I can't gush too much about it because we don't got the time. But moving on next, we've got an update from The Refused, the 90s punk rock. I mean, they did put out one of the best punk rock songs of the early aughts, and they kind of, I don't know, it's hard to classify them, which is probably why I like them, but they just put out a new video for their song Blood Red off of their upcoming album called War Music, and check it out. That's all I can say. Check it out, because it's, the Refused are a great, like, anti-establishmentarianism kind of band. Very punk ethos, if not technically punk music, though at times through their career, definitely punk music. Again, can't gush too much, we're moving on. Next, we're talking about a new Korn song, off of their new record. It's called Cold. Visualizer, link in the description. You can go watch that on YouTube. There might be hope for these guys just yet. Everything we've heard from them basically since Untouchables, and even most of that record, has been hot garbage. This song, not so much. I actually dig this song. That's the first time in pretty much a decade I've been able to say that about a Korn tune. So yeah, new Korn tune, link in the description to the song. It's the Visualizer video. The video's nothing spectacular, but the song is actually pretty good, so go check that out. And then our last piece of news is not a new song, it's a new album announcement even. Mushroomhead, who we know because we interviewed them, you can see right there. I interviewed Stitch about a year and a half ago now. Next time they come through, I'm definitely going to be sitting down with them again. But they just made an announcement to the podcast Rock Sins. They have put a tentative, if not absolutely set in stone, release date for March of 2020 for this new record. That, again, we know they've been working on since pretty much the last one, but the last one came out in 2014, which is kind of a long time ago, but they've been actively touring, and they went through quite a few lineup changes, as we all know, so it only makes sense that it's kind of taken them this long. But I'm super excited because this will be their first record without Jeffrey Nothing, and their first record on Nuclear Blast, or Napalm. They signed to Napalm, not Nuclear Blast. They signed to Napalm Records. So definitely excited to see what they bring to the table for that. Okay, let's get into TV news, guys. So first things first, we have another season renewal for Black Summer, Netflix's zombie apocalypse amazing show that is definitely right up there with The Walking Dead as far as zombie programming goes, for sure, but just general horror and television programming in general. Just said general twice. And I just found out during the research for this, which I should have known before, I feel like, that this is a prequel series to Z Nation. Nation. I haven't watched Z Nation yet, so now I'm really intrigued too. So I'm going to pass that half of the news bit off to you guys. What do you think of Z Nation? Is it worth it to dive into Z Nation? And is it as good as Black Summer? Because Black Summer is kind of amazing. So our the news rather for Black Summer is that it just got renewed for season 2. I know all of that. I just buried the lead and almost forgot to do the actual news piece. Yeah, season 2 is confirmed over on Netflix for Black Summer. Next, we're talking about Are You Afraid of the Dark? We've been keeping tabs on this. They're rebooting the series for a mini-series. It is not going to be an ongoing series, but they are doing a mini-series, and the first bit of footage we're going to get actually goes up tomorrow, or potentially today as you're watching this or listening to this, is going up with an episode of Henry Danger on Nickelodeon. Not familiar with Henry Danger, but apparently it airs on Saturdays, and we're going to get our first footage. They didn't say how much footage, but probably like 3-5 minutes or so of this new reboot mini-season for Are You Afraid of the Dark? Next, we're talking about Doctor Who, and actually this is kind of more about HBO Max once again. HBO Max just signed a deal with BBC saying that they are the exclusive streaming place for Doctor Who. Yes, not just the current Doctor either, but all 11 seasons of Doctor Who will be only available on the HBO Max app. HBO Max, again, if you don't remember, is the name of the Warner Brothers streaming service. I know it's confusing because of the names and all of the things, but Warner is who owns HBO Max, and therefore everything that Warner has option to is going up on HBO Max, unless it's on DC Universe, in which there's going to be a little bit of crossover, but that's neither here nor there, and we're moving into movies. Okay, so movies, we have a really interesting update on the Jason franchise, the Friday the 13th franchise. It seems, and I must have missed the announcement, it seems that the two warring sides of that name, Jason and Friday the 13th, because they were two different sides of a lawsuit, apparently they have come to some sort of agreement. Because for a while, we were only going to be seeing Friday the 13th movies or Jason movies, and ne'er the two shall meet. But there was an announcement that we have not only a script, we were in pre-production on Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Never Dies. So that means they connected. And we also know, because it's from director Tom McLoughlin, he was talking to Bloody Disgusting website. Go check them out. They have all your horror. They have every horror fix you need. He was talking to them, and he said that the movie is going to have a number of firsts. The only two that he actually revealed in the interview are that this movie is going to be set during the winter at Camp Crystal Lake, so that's going to be a first. He said he really liked the idea of all of that blood set on top of very white snow, so interesting visuals ahead, as it seems. But he also revealed that the entire supporting cast, so all of the victims, if you will, are going to be female, which is an interesting development for a number of reasons, none of which we're going to get into in this episode, but that's awesome in a couple of different ways and kind of weird in some others. So next up, we're talking about New Gods. There's actually technically two updates here, first of which Ava DuVernay has revealed through her Twitter account that yes, we will be seeing the female Furies and Darkseid. Both of them will be making some sort of an appearance in her New Gods movie. Also, Tom King has revealed that when Ava DuVernay brought him in, she asked him to put together a team of, quote, Jack Kirby experts, unquote. No revelation yet as to who those, quote, experts are, but that's just, if they're using that much insight, if they're using consultation from actual Jack Kirby style historians and Jack Kirby people who are familiar with Jack Kirby stuff, and potentially even like the Jack Kirby estate, then there is a lot of really good hope for this movie, and it just stokes those flames even more. Next up, though, we're talking about Hobbs and Shaw. Wait a minute. No, Hobbs and Shaw 2. Yeah, it's not officially been announced. It's an unofficial announcement, and it comes from we got this covered, so kind of take this with a giant grain of salt, because we got this covered has kind of a mixed bag of results when it comes to breaking rumors and revealing leaks and all that jazz. What they're saying is that the villain for the next Hobbs and Shaw movie is going to be played by Keanu Reeves. But again, this is a giant rumor. Nothing has been confirmed. The movie hasn't even technically been announced yet, so we're moving on. And our last piece of movie news has to do with the MCU as a whole. This one also giant grain of salt, because there is no confirmation from any official source. This is only rumor, and rumors are abounding on this one as far as the future major villain for the MCU that we are very potentially going to be kind of introduced to during Phase 4, but we very likely won't see until midway or almost the end of Phase 5, and then we will battle at the end of Phase 6. So considering it's been like 11 years to get through the first 3 phases, we probably have another 11 years or so to get through the next 3 phases, so we have a long time for them to build up to this. But the rumor is, as I bury the lead once more, that it's going to be Galactus. MCUcosmic.com claims that they have a source that is close to Feige and or Disney and or the MCU in some way, shape, or form, and that source says that they are actively pursuing using Galactus as the major villain for the next set of phases. And that kind of lines up because there's been all these rumors about a Fantastic Four movie and how they're going to introduce the X-Men and all of these things. So we will see. Definitely be keeping tabs on this one as it develops. And then our last segment for this episode. Like I said, I was super rushed on the research for this episode, so I actually haven't read any comic books, so we're not talking comic books. There's very little as far as news goes in comic books. There's like the death and potential rebirth of Mr. Sinister, but I need to get a little bit more in depth before I can bring it over to you guys, so we will probably talk about that in the next episode. So we're ending with gaming, and in gaming, we are talking about Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. Just got a leak and a confirmation that the leak is true. So the leak was that there are the 3 DLC characters that are supposed to have been revealed at EVO are E Honda, Poison, and Lucia. So, because they got leaked, Capcom just went ahead and released the trailers for all 3 of them ahead of time, and they look great. Street Fighter V players, I am super jealous of you right now. I don't have Street Fighter V. I have not jumped on the SF5 bandwagon just yet, but man, this is definitely reason to. If not for E Honda, then I feel like honestly Poison is one of the better additions to that game that I've seen. So it's totally worth a look. And then we have a little bit, it's actually technically movie news, but because it comes from the guy who's writing the Mortal Kombat script, Greg Russo, I'm putting it here because it also deals with another video game franchise. So if you don't know, Greg Russo is the guy who has been behind, he was part of the script writing for the last Resident Evil movie, which I didn't see. Also is part of the script writing for, I gotta look it up again, Saints Row, the Saints Row movie that is still very much in early development. He had his hands on that as well. And like I said already, he's doing the Mortal Kombat movie script. So he's got a little bit of clout when it comes to the video game stuff. Don't know how the Saints Row script is going to turn out, but I mean, Resident Evil wasn't horrible, which is kind of saying something for that franchise. It wasn't great by any means, but it also wasn't horrible. So he wants to do BioShock. BioShock has been in development hell as far as movies go for, since like 2008 or so. Just because everyone who writes the script wants to do a budget that's just crazy out of the park, and not any movie theater that's getting behind this wants to give it that kind of money because it's an untried IP, even though it has a crazy following in the video game community, but that doesn't always necessarily translate. So Russo wants to write a BioShock script. I can totally get behind it. He says that he's got the cure to the money woes that the studios are all complaining about. So he says he can get it under budget and still make it a great movie. We'll see how he does with Mortal Kombat before we throw judgment on this one, right? But that, guys, is the end of today's episode. What did I miss? What should we talk about in the next episode? Let me know in the comments down below. If, though, you want to go deeper in the conversation, there is a website, generallynerdy.net. There's a Patreon if you want to support the channels. Patreon.com/generallynerdy is the place to go do that. If you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button. If you like these videos, you know what to do with that other button. If you are falling behind on your nerd news and you want to catch up, you can click or tap that box right there to the left of my face to do that. But before we go and click boxes and do the things, guys, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.